The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests.
What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 292. Today's date is Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023. 5/23/23. We are live as always on YouTube, and we're also live now on Twitter. The cesspool that is Twitter. Now that Elon's got his claws in there, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm not a huge Twitter guy, but let's have some fun over there and see what happens. If you guys are wanting to call or text into the show, yes, you can text into the show. I shouldn't say call anymore. We'll text into the show. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates over at Aegis Gun Care. That number is 530-364-4678. Go check out aegisguncare.com. If you're a veteran, really anybody, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're in the darkness and you're looking for the light, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, but I can be a pretty decent ear, maybe talk you through some things. Most importantly, I can be a good person to just listen. If you are looking for someone to get you some medical attention, remember two things. One, you are not alone in this fight. You have a lot of brothers out here that are willing and able to help you in any and every single way. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So please utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255 veterans. Press that number 1. We are spotlighting, as always, United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, see the website, marines.com. And as always, we're proud members of the Rapid Fire Radio Network and the Self-Defense Radio Network. Go check out all your favorite pro gun, pro two-way podcasts over at Rapid Fire Radio and selfdefenseradio.net or selfdefenseradio.net, I believe it is. Yeah. Let's get this off of my ugly mug and bring in the crew for the night. I'm not going to say esteemed panel. I'm just going to call it a crew. Before we get going, Chris, you've had quite a day, but it sounds like there might be some late breaking news.
Yeah, I just went over into my studio app and I'm back on a warning. So,
boom, baby, boom, boom, boom.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it very much. So,
well, that's good stuff. Good stuff. You guys weren't, if you weren't aware, Chris got put in YouTube jail for a little bit for a video from like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Gotta love that. Snob is listening while he's mowing. So, okay. I'll be listening to something a lot better than this while I mow, but hey, I appreciate you. If you're out there in the live chat, go ahead and say something. We don't know that you're out there unless you do. And if you're listening to this in replay or on podcast form, the conversation does not have to stop. Utilize that comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. Have any questions for any of us? We'll get those answered as quickly as possible. So we want to say hello to everybody out there. And obviously want to thank our patrons and YouTube channel members for always keeping the lights on. We do appreciate you guys. And we got some cool stuff coming down the line. A lot of cool stuff coming down the line. And my patrons and channel members always get sneak peeks at stuff before they're released publicly. So thanks to all those guys and gals for doing that. Let's say hi to our crew tonight from Anderson Manufacturing, our diggity dog. What up, Kyle?
Hey, Trey. Thanks for having me on again, man.
Always, brother. Always. Everything good in Anderson world? Y'all are
Beautiful
a little
bit. What's that?
Said y'all are a little bit busy this time of year right now.
Yes, sir.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, still a beautiful day out here in Hebron, Kentucky. So
There you go. It's always a good day when you wake up and the sun's shining. Even if the sun's not shining, it's still a beautiful day sometimes.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. And from the weirdest state in the union, it only has 4 letters, but it takes 2 freakers to spell it out. We're not going to call them Christmas 740. We're going to call them Columbus. What's up, homie?
Not much, man. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
You bet. And from Arizona, we've got the soulless ginger bastard himself. What's up?
It's 108 today. It feels like hanging out in an easy bake oven. This is awful. Why did I move here? That's all I have to say.
You chose that shit. And you've had opportunities to get away from the easy bake oven. Just saying.
What? Rude. True, but rude.
Too soon? Okay. And as always, riding shotgun out there, the man, the myth, the weirdo, the only man that I feel comfortable around that I could tower over, I say. I clear him by a good inch. The tactical virus. Leprechaun himself. What's up, Clove?
Careful, man. That's not good for my rage.
Careful, man. Rage is always a good thing sometimes. I think it's always good if you keep that bottled up, it's
only when it's against the machine, right?
This is true.
Yeah.
You got a shotgun of the week for us?
I don't know. Have I ever mentioned the Dissipator 410 SMLE?
The hell am I supposed to know that?
I don't know. I'm losing track here.
I don't know. Let's assume you haven't.
Converted Mark 1 number 3 infields for basically India.
You said 410?
Yeah, converted to single shot 410, more for like riot control and prison guard and that type thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mandatory Carry says, wait, Clovertech, how tall are you? He is 4'9". Just under. He is considered a midget. Let's just be honest.
With platforms. Come on.
Obviously. Yeah. All right. You guys know that hold on. X Adam 1 says, just got back from the range, had to shoot my new HK VP9. I'm a little jealous, man. I love the VP9 model. The whole line is just fantastic. So, yeah, there you go. Every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday over on our YouTube community tab, we have the Ghost Tactical Polls, finally referred to as the Pony Polls. The Pony Polls. Let's go check out the questions. Our first one was put yesterday, and it's got 1.5 thousand votes. Of these, who is the best TV sidekick? Barney Rubble, Robin, the skipper from Gilligan's Island, or Tonto from the Lone Ranger? Kyle, of those, do you have a favorite sidekick?
I'm going to have to go with the most iconic, which is Robin.
Okay. Hey, I don't disagree. Christopher Columbus, you like how I did that?
I had to go with Robin too. I love watching that show. The original, even when I was a little kid. So yeah, I gotta go with Robin.
We talked about it before, but how iconic was the '67 Batmobile? Like, that's probably the coolest car that anyone had ever seen on TV at the time, like ever. Cool. Real quick before we move on, mandatory carry $5 out there. It says keep fighting. Appreciate it, brother. You guys know that we don't ask nor do we encourage super chats, but know that all super chats go to send care packages downrange to our guys and gals overseas. So thank you for that as well. Tiger Woods out there says Tonto. Yep. Bastard.
I'm going to go with Barney Rubble because Barney Rubble seems to like push Fred into trouble. So it was always funny.
He did.
I mean, if I could go with one other Barney Fife would also be a great sidekick.
Okay, you think he was? I guess he was Andy's. I guess he was Andy's sidekick. Sure. You could have gone with Kramer or even George. Either one would be considered Seinfeld's sidekick, but I went with these little older school ones, Clover?
I go Tonto. Tonto was obviously the brains behind that operation. So
100%. Yes. 100%. I got a lot of hate in the comments saying that Gilligan was the skipper's sidekick. Little secret, guys, I've never watched the first episode of Gilligan's Island. I have no idea. It's called Gilligan's Island, so I assume that he was like the main person and maybe the skipper would be the sidekick. Gilligan could have been the sidekick for all I know. I have literally never seen one episode of Gilligan's Island, so I don't know. 1.5 thousand votes. 44% say Barney Rubble from the Flintstones. 24% say Robin. 20% say Tonto. And 12% say the skipper. So Barney and Robin were the ones. And Tonto, I was a big Lone Ranger fan. I loved Westerns. My dad was a big Western fan, so I grew up watching a lot of old Westerns with him. Tonto is always a great one. Really can't go wrong with any of them. Yeah, I saw that, by the way. That's funny. We're going to try to hook that up, Chris. Going to try to hook that up. All right. Our second poll was sent out Thursday, 1.2 thousand votes. Interesting comments in this one as well. What would you rather do? Spend 1 year in prison or live the rest of your life with your ex? Let's start with Ginger.
1 year in prison. That is all.
There you go. Kyle, 1 year in prison or spend the rest of your life with an ex?
Yeah, don't drop the soap. Let's go.
Clover?
I'll go X.
Okay. Columbus?
No, I'm going to prison.
Going to prison. All right. Best comment of the post. You go down here and find out who said it, because it was epic to do for sure. Alan Brown 747 says, either way, there's probably sex that I'd prefer not to have. Thought that was pretty classic. Pretty classic. 1.2 thousand votes. Prison gets it with 56%. Living the rest of your life with your ex gets it at 44%. So 56% would like to be somebody's bitch in prison. Just saying. Here's the thing with me. Living with an ex wouldn't be that bad of a deal, because I'd go find me a job that probably a long haul trucker wouldn't be home for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And when I am home for a couple of days, I'm going to go hang out with the boys. You can learn to avoid that. You can't avoid Bubba. Just saying. Bubba got friends. You might be able to avoid Bubba, but Bubba got friends, and they'll get you eventually. So that's just me. Then again, now mandatory carries. If you met my exes, you'd really understand. Well, here's the thing. I love you, bro, but anyone that's an ex of yours has problems, because they agreed to go out with you or marry you originally. So they obviously have problems. Just saying. All right. Our last one. It's got 2.3 thousand votes. What's the best Vietnam era rifle? And we're talking U.S. rifles, so the AK's out and all that stuff. U.S. military Vietnam rifles. M1 carbine, the Dissipator, the M16A1, or the M14. Now, I want to say this out front. I did have a typo. The last one was supposed to say M14. I put that, pinned it in the comments, but I put M1 carbine twice on there. But if you look at the picture of the second one, it's obviously an M14. So, anyways, let's start with Chris on this one. Of those four, do you have a favorite Vietnam era rifle?
I went with M16A1.
Okay. Kyle?
I'm a huge M1 fan, but I'm going to have to go with the Dissipator at this
I
time.
wonder why. Is it probably because you guys had one at range day for NRA and was the most shot rifle at range day? Could that possibly be the reason?
Yeah, and I've been shooting it a lot here lately, so it's pretty fun.
No, were you able to, I know you said at one point you were going to have to go back to the shop and make sure it was all good to go after 5,000 or 6,000 rounds. Still running good?
Oh yeah, she's a beast. That's the one I was just shooting.
Nice. Clove?
M14.
14. All right. Ginger?
M16A1.
Okay. Yeah. It's interesting. It's weird. The M14, I think if you ask any of the guys that were in Vietnam, they'd probably tell you the M14 for one reason only is the M16. That was the version 1, and it was a jam-o-matic, especially in the conditions in Vietnam. But that said, it was what got us a step closer to the Russian-made AKs that we were fighting. And then obviously the M16A1 has now created this whole, not only military, but in the civilian world, this whole design that people love, whether or not people all have them. But I think everyone will admit that the M16/AR design is iconic at this point, right? It's iconic at this point. So It's interesting. Go ahead, Clove.
No, it's just, I'm agreeing.
Oh, okay. So I don't know. I don't know what the best one was. Like I said, if you talk to the Vietnam guys, they probably tell you that their favorite was the M14. I think it was probably a lot more dependable. But I think that the idea of the M16A1 happening changed the U.S. military as far as what we were using and all that. So as far as that, 2.3 thousand votes, 68% say the M16A1, 14% say the M1 carbine, 10% say the Dissipator, and 8% say the second M1 carbine or the M14. But I'm going to say it's probably a little bit more than that because until I caught the mistype, people might not have known that was an M14. So we'll take it their way. I will say this. The Dissipator is probably something that a lot of people may have not been familiar with also. And I know Kyle, with the Dissi that you guys had at NRA, did people know what it was, or did you kind of have to explain to a lot of people, like, hey, what is this? Like, did they know what it was?
Oh, a lot of people there were familiar, but I think it was that crowd. If you're coming to a primary arms range day, you're probably pretty well versed in the firearms industry.
Now, what about at the booth during NRAM when people were just the public just kind of walking around? Did a lot of them know what it was?
That was a mixed batch. A lot of the vets knew exactly what it was and stuff, but you do run into people who have no idea what's so special about this, what makes it different. Because I mean, looking at it, it's an M16.
It's an M16 with a chopped barrel, basically, and that's what people say. They may not know what it was used for and why it was so important. I mean, since you guys had one at NRAM and are playing around with one, do you want to kind of educate a little bit about what was the difference and why it was an important rifle or weapon?
Yeah, I mean, so your iconic M16 is a 20-inch barrel, and as you and I know, Ghost, and any Marine out there, Way City, Vietnam is where door-to-door combat started going down. So they needed more maneuverability going in and out of houses, wherever they're going. So they basically
going through the doorway is not the greatest thing in the world to have, for sure.
No, never. So they took the barrels they had and just chopped 4 inches off right there, left it rifle length gas system. And actually, when they were first fielded, they were very unreliable, like you said, just because that rifle length gas system and kind of the climate that they're in, and they neglected to open up that gas hole a little bit more, because you have less dwell time at the end of that barrel. So, obviously, we've done those updates, but yeah, that's what makes the Dissipator so iconic. Is it really was kind of like a military experiment.
Yep. Well, it was the for lack of a better term, it was the first idea that they had. They've never, like you said, they've never had the reason for CQB. First of all, there was probably back in Vietnam, there probably were no CQB tactics that we all have been taught now. There weren't firearms dedicated for CQB. All these things. And they said, well, what do we have that we could work? Well, we could just chop the barrel off of this, and there you have it. So that's what I'm saying. The Dissipator created a lot of things, and all of that people may not even understand why it's an important weapon system. So really awesome. Oh, it is iconic, and I think people that do know it, when they see it, they know exactly what. Like, oh my God, like that's awesome.
It just kind of sits at the precipice right there too before the M4A1 came along.
Yep.
So,
there you go. All right. Well, guys, those are the pony polls for this week. Go check out AndersonManufacturing.com. They've got a lot of cool stuff, and the next little bit, there'll be some even more cooler stuff coming down the line. So be on the lookout. Y'all are doing some awesome things. Real quick before we get going here, there's something that I saw. Now, Marcus says that funny thing is more M1 carbines were carried by the enemy. Do you know why? Because they picked them up off the ground. That's also how we got some AKs, is we picked those off the ground a little bit. But yeah, a lot of the M1s were picked up off the ground, and I'm glad that they went and used the M1 instead of getting an M14. M14 was probably our best rifle in those days. May not have been the greatest thing out there, but it was probably the most reliable for that environment that the U.S. had. So best rifle was the AKM. Let's see here. Vic says my AR has a 10-inch barrel, so I guess I have a Dissipator. No, you have an SBR or pistol, whatever you want to configure it as. It's specifically a 16-inch AR with a rifle length handguard and gas system. It's specifically that's what it is. It can't be deviated from those specs. That is what the Dissi is. So the original Dissi, go ahead, Clove. I saw your thing come up.
I did one of those quite some time ago. I took it's a faux. It is a carbine length barrel, but then I used the triangle handguards and drilled and tapped some set screws into a gas block in order to be able to go over a low profile for the carbine.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Go in front of it to be able to lock the handguards into place and everything. So yeah.
Yeah.
But it's in 6.8 SPC. So Dissi inspired, we'll say, build.
Absolutely. And I think that because there hasn't really been any Dissis out in forever, I think there's a lot of people that like that design and all of that have, like you said, have kind of created their own.
Yeah. And what's cool is it does make it look like an SBR. I mean, at glance, because of it doesn't have much barrel sticking out the end.
Now, I do love the idea of having the old A1 triangular handguard. Those things are ugly as hell, but they're cool. They're pretty cool.
I've got that. It has a legit A1 upper teardrop forward assist, and
does it have a carry handle?
It does have, carry handle it's an A1 upper. So
it's A1. It's a complete. It's a legit
A1 that you have to adjust. That you have to adjust with an FMJ, right?
Like, I don't know if you had to do a detachable or not. So it's in the
made
upper.
on. Yeah, and then I got a 4-power, early 80s or so 4-power optic carry handle mount optic.
So let me ask you this: if you had a Dissipator today, what kind of optic to kind of obviously to make it maybe, how do you put this?
I don't know that I would.
Era relevant. Would you put anything on there, or would you just go with the front side?
That'll come off. You know what I mean? I've still got, it's still got the front and rear sides. So I mean that is really quickly can be taken off if you want.
You put an optic on there.
I did, but you can't. Would I?
Yeah.
Would I do it again?
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do it again. No,
yeah.
Probably not. But I mean, I think I had that laying around at the time, and that was part of my thought. I'm going to go with as many old school components as I can. And so I was able to acquire an original A1 upper and a stripped upper, obviously. And, just to pick some other stuff up, picked up some, some of the triangle hand guards, that era furniture, A1 stock, not an A2, but an A1 stock.
Yep.
Go
A1.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is a lot of people call it the A2 front post, but the A1 had it's basically the same kind of a
triangle, front post. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize though on the A1s they don't realize the rear side is totally different. The A2 rear side is much easier to adjust than the
that was one of the improvements, if you will, that between the A1 and the A2. Bearded guy out there says, we'll bring everybody on the panel on this. Go ahead and answer. How would the M14 compare to the AK? So understand what the M14 was 308 or 762 by 51. So you're talking, comparable calibers, with the M14 being a little bit more powerful, obviously, than the AK, but you're also talking about the AK having a firing rate that was superior. You obviously had capacity rate that was superior to the 14. I wouldn't know how to answer that. I would say that there's a reason, no offense to the M14, there is a reason that Stoger and the U.S. government decided to go up and find something to compete with the Kalashnikov AK. If there was no problem with the M14 comparing to the AK, the M16 wouldn't have happened, at least that quickly. So you can take that for what it's worth. I'm not saying that it's an inferior firearm at all, but there's a reason why the M16 was created. So
the M14, I mean, over the AK, and let's talk about in a military setting, right? AKs were cranked out. They were loose tolerances. They would run, but
you're going to run in any situation.
But how accurate were they, right? And
that's the whole thing with the AK.
And then it's not quite the cartridge a 308 is. So then you take that M14, a lot more care was taken into the ability for accuracy and range when it comes to that M14. So given the right situation, and I don't even pretend to be ex-military, but given the right situation, the M14 could take out a bunch of folks with AKs before they even got close enough to be a big problem.
When I went to forward weapons training, before we went on my first exercise, if you will, I remember the sergeant at arms. I think he was a gunny, might have been a master sergeant, that was running the class, and he said the safest place to be when being shot at by an AK is right in front of them. They weren't the most accurate, and most of the time, most of the people that were shooting AKs in the world really did not have any formal training. It was pick them up, pull a trigger. So the safest place to be was right in front of the muzzle, because they probably weren't going to hit you.
So we had a conversation on the phone not too long ago, and I was telling you about stories my grandfather was telling me from Korea and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when they run a barrage of human bodies at you, all holding AKs, like at that point, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? When they got a human flood coming at you with AKs, like the AKs are going to win. Probably
one, you might win that. If you've got
better have
one,
you better
you're
have
screwed.
yeah, you better have air support and artillery. Is that's like the only way you're going to deal with that.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone knows I love the AK. I love shooting AKs. One of my favorite things in the world is a true full auto AK. Unbelievable. M14. I've never shot an M14. I've held them before, done a lot of stuff with them, but I've never shot one before.
They're pretty amazing. The right one, the max ones especially, are. I mean, they're 1,000-yard rifles all day, every day.
Yeah, I've never heard a bad thing about the M14, but I go back into it and I say there would not have been a reason to create the M16 if the M14 could directly compare to the AK-47. I mean, that's
the heavier firearm, heavier ammunition, right? I mean,
yep.
Had to scale all that down. Needed that intermediate cartridge.
Absolutely.
And we had never had an intermediate cartridge. I mean, if you count the M1 carbine, but that's what started the whole story of my grandfather in Korea to start with. Is that turd?
The interesting thing is,
well, apparently we're not going to hear what it is.
Can you hear me?
There you go. You froze it. You said the interesting thing is, and you froze perfectly. It was awesome.
Oh, did I really?
It was like you were pondering what you were going to say. It was beautiful.
Oh, I could hear you guys. I don't know. That was really weird. StreamYard, you gotta love it. The interesting thing about the M14 is, once again, we talk about being a 308. Now, why is that not necessarily the optimal firearm for Vietnam? Understand that this is the first war we'd ever fought truly in jungles. So you're talking about that intermediate cartridge. A 308 in a jungle warfare setting doesn't give you any advantage at all, So I get what you're saying about that. The 308,
well, it helps a little bit.
It might help a little bit, but as far as having that intermediate cartridge that might be lighter, moving faster and all of that, a 308, when you're talking about at your most probably 100-yard shot.
No, right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a need for that intermediate cartridge. So, that's a good point you brought up. I'm bringing that up. This is a completely off the topic. I did get a comment on one of my videos, one of my AR videos. I can't remember what it was. It was last week, and I forgot to bring it up last week, but I want to bring it up this week and answer it. I typed it in there, but this might be something that is out there from a lot of people that might be new. We're talking ARs a little bit. So I got a question on one of my, it says, what exactly is 223 Wild? Is it a cartridge? Is it a caliber? All this, that, there. And I said, look, basically the 223 Wild is a barrel that can run 5.56 and 223 Remington together. Now, these days, most companies that produce AR barrels are going to produce rifles that do take 5.56 as well as 223. But when I think it was Bill, was that his first name, Bill Wild, if I remember correctly, I might be wrong about that. But I think it was Bill Wild that created the 223 Wild barrels. I said, no, it's not. It's not a caliber. It's not an ammo. It's just a barrel, and it's able to take it. So if you're out there and you start seeing rifles out there that says 223 Wild, that is not a Wildcat kind of cartridge or caliber. That is not something. It just means that it can take 5.56 and 223. And basically, it was one of the first ones that could take the extra pressure of the 5.56. So if you see 223 Wild, don't be scared away from buying that rifle if it's the right price and the right product that you're looking for, just because you've never heard of 223 Wild. So I do want to bring that up because I don't know. There might be people out there that were just like this guy that asked a question. I think that was a very valid question for people that may not know. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So if you want to get technical, for those out there that like that, the .223 Wild is more free bore.
Yeah.
Is the difference when you're talking about it's a hybrid chamber, and the difference
It's a
is
chamber.
yeah over 5.56 there's more free bore, so
yeah,
that lends itself. That's the idea from Bill Wild, whatever, is it lends itself to more accuracy. And I'm not saying it does or it doesn't. I'm just saying that's what.
No. That was what it was designed for. That's what the creation was for.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people say, "Oh, I've never heard of 223 Wild." It's not a caliber, guys. There's no such thing as a 223 Wild caliber, to my knowledge. I've never heard of a caliber, a cartridge 223 Wild.
I've shot 5.56 in 223s and 5.56, many 223s in a 5.56 chamber in a barrel. And whether that's hunting or ringing steel or it's that's good enough. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. And there was another point I was going to make on that too. And a lot of people don't realize this. And you do if you reload. You know what I'm talking about. A lot of 5.56 by 45 that's out there.
Yeah.
Is actually trimmed and all and sized and loaded 223.
I think that it's trimmed, but we're talking pressure probably.
That's what I'm saying. It's loaded to 223. It's trimmed and everything. Yeah. Like, it's not actually 5.56 by 45.
Yeah. Interesting question. Chicago Mike the Shooter says, if you want to hit someone further than 1,000 yards, 223 5.56 is way to go, right? Negative, Ghost Rider.
Absolutely.
Now,
big and heavy.
Kyle, my numbers have failed me in my old ass age, and you're much younger than I am. M16A2. I don't know. You might have been the M4. You might not even ever had the M16A2. Max effective range was just under 900 yards, correct? It was like 800 and something. I personally say I wouldn't go much above 600 with it. For me, that the AR is that 500 and that 100 or 200 to 500, like 0 to 500. I that's for me. Anything over 500, I start talking maybe a little bit higher, like a 308 or 6.5 Creed or whatever. Anything that's a more longer range caliber. Now, that said, will a 223 or 5.56 be able to reach out and touch someone at 1,000 yards? Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not standing out there.
Effective? Is it? Yeah, I'm not sending it. Is it going to be the most stable projectile at 1,000 yards? No.
Yeah.
It's not going to be accurate. It's there's going to be a lot of issues. You're pushing it at 1,000 yards. Hence why the 224 Valkyrie was kind of created. But yes,
and bucking the wind,
absolutely.
At any kind of a longer distance, even 500 yards.
I would say anything over 500 yards. Honestly, over 500 yards, I would even say probably over 400 is when I start going to 308 or whatever. Kyle, what say you? Or Chris, Ginger, whoever. But I want to let Kyle come in here first.
All right, I've got it. So I got the M16A2. Point target is 550 meters.
Yep.
Area target 800 and maximum range 35, 34.
Maximum range is 35, 34.
Yes, sir.
Holy snap. Effective range or max range?
Max range, not effective.
Do they have an effective? You said what was it for an area target?
800. So it'd be 800. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So and that's kind of that's kind of what I would go at is if we talk max effective range, okay, is 800, but that's max. Now, can it be pushed out to 1,000? Yeah, you can hit. You'll be able to hit something at 1,000. I'm not saying you can't. I wouldn't trust it in that situation.
And that's an area target. So that's like a vehicle or a group of people.
Yeah, we're not talking a silhouette. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, 308, Clover, Chris, Ginger, or I'm not saying 308, but a longer range, a heavier caliber, longer range caliber. I would say probably 400 yards and above is where I would say I feel comfortable going with a longer range. Where are you guys at with where would you take the 223 and say this is as far as I'm going to shoot it?
Well,
go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say, I mean, I just got back from dead zero there, 6-7 weeks ago, I guess it is now. But even with my Valkyrie, after 800 yards, I was going subsonic.
Yep.
So I wasn't getting any readback. Now, I was using reloads. I was using an 80.5 grain bullet, but I did not have them maxed out as far as charge weight went, but they were hot. So I wasn't having any problem hitting a target at 800 yards, but once I got past that, I wasn't getting any feedback on the targeting system because after 800 yards, I was going subsonic even with a Valkyrie. So for me, especially after shooting the 6,
you probably weren't shooting, factory ammo either. You were probably shooting some hot ammo.
Right. And after using the 6.5 to get out to 1,000, I mean, I'm definitely going with a heavier bullet and a bigger caliber for that, for sure.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Ginger.
I mean, personally, I'd say 300 to 400 with the 5.56 223, and after that, something bigger like 6.5 Creedmoor or a 308. Once you get that, especially the Creedmoor, just shoots so flat at those longer distances.
Yeah,
I feel like it's superior over the 308.
That's the thing we're talking about is if we're talking 223, 5.56 at 1,000 yards. What's up, Yehuda? Pew Pew Jew, go check him out. Really great friend, and really talented individual. Go check out the Pew Pew Jew. You can, like I said, you can hit a 223, 5.56 at 1,000 yards, but you better hit the top of the head because that's really where it's be coming down. 308's a much better 6.5 Creed. The reason why 6.5 has gotten so popular for long range, especially in competition, is kind of John mentioned it. The 6.5 Creed is such a flat shooting projectile that it can reach out at 1,000 yards easily without having to have, a whole lot of not have to have a taco or anything to get it up way up in the air to have it land. Once again, 223, 5.56, you're probably going to be landing on someone's head just coming down at a steep angle. So I'm not saying, I'm not shaming anyone saying you can't. I'm just saying you're going to be an incredibly good shot and incredibly lucky to consistently hit anything at 1,000 yards with a 223, even a 5.56 being a little bit more powerful. I don't know. That's just me. Well, you're talking about the M14. The M14 was considered a sniper rifle, to a certain extent. But we're talking about earlier is the problem with the M14 in Vietnam. We'll go back to this a little bit. Is jungle warfare. If you ever try to go hunting in the deep woods of East Texas, the longest shot you're going to have is 50 to 100 yards maximum before hitting trees. That was why the M14 was damn near obsolete in Vietnam. I wouldn't say obsolete, but it wasn't as used as it should be because it was a jungle warfare and it wasn't in its prime environment, if you will. But yeah, that's a great question. Mike Sigler, what do y'all think about the new 277 Fury? I don't have any experience with it, so I'm not going to speak out of my ass. Anybody here have any experience with a 277 Fury? Guess not.
Nope.
Ginger?
No experience with it yet. I've got a local writer who has invited me out to go try it, but nothing yet.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of attempts over the years, and there's definitely some wildcats and some other things out there. There's been a lot of attempts over the years to playing around with the 6.8s, right? When that's what a 277 is a 6.8. And the only one that's really had any staying power is do what now?
So the 6.8 is incredibly popular, especially in long range competition.
Yeah, the 6.8 SPC has stuck around, but a lot of people don't know this. The 6.8 SPC actually went through a redesign. Pretty much everything that you see now marked 6.8 SPC is actually 6.8 SPC 2. And I know this because I built a 6.8. As a matter of fact, the rifle we were just talking about earlier is 6.8 SPC, and I literally had to order chamber reamers for that.
Oh yeah,
when the 6.8 SPC2s came out, so I could run the heavier projectiles of the 6.8 SPC2. So
right on.
But yeah, I remember the 277 was a 277 Wolverine, and there was like a 277 Shadow, and there's been a lot of different 277s come out, and like none of them have stuck yet.
Yeah. We'll see. Video we dropped over the weekend. We're talking 308 earlier. Got my first 308, an Anderson AM10, the Ranger. Awesome rifle. I've shot a shit ton of them, obviously, but I've never owned an AR10, and loving it. Had a little fun with it. Went out to the range. Decided, it comes out of the box with no sights, no optics, no nothing. I said, I've got a piece of 8. I think it's 18 by 24. It's like the rectangle steel, the little head on top. At 100 yards at the range, and I was like, I wonder if I could hit this thing at 100 yards with no optics, no sights. I really wish I could have used tracers. We don't allow tracers on our range. It would have been awesome to see tracers with that, because I had the first few shots. I had no idea where that round was going. It was probably up on the mountainside, and I heard trees getting hit every now and then. I'm like, well, So go check out that one to find out if I actually did hit at 100 yards with the Anderson AM10 with no optics and no sights. Go check that out. Pretty cool. I had a lot of fun with it. Mark Jackson was number 6 on the all-time assist leaders there, Clover. Is that right? Mark Jackson was 6, right ahead of Magic. He was right ahead of Magic, yeah. And Magic was 7. So Mark Jackson, you're number 6 on the all-time NBA assist leaders. That's pretty awesome. We have Mark Jackson on the show. Probably not the same one, but I'm taking a wild guess. It's not the same Mark Jackson.
Well, if it is, I got an awesome card I would love to have autographed.
Yeah, right. Now we're going to start talking PCCs. This is a discussion we were going to have a couple weeks ago, and we got into some awesome conversation. Then we started talking about being scope snobs and all of that. So we're going to talk PCCs. Before we do, Marcus asks, it's PCC related. It says, can we please ask Kyle if Anderson would make a PCC in 45 ACP or 10 millimeter, or at least a stripped lower? I'm going to let you have the floor for a few minutes with Marcus.
All right. I would definitely never rule that out. But no, we don't have anything in the pipeline quite yet as far as 10 mil or 45 goes. Right now, it's sticking with the 9 mil. We've kind of got our attention in the bolt action right now and getting that thing to market. And, that potentially could be what's next, though.
Oh,
so
now Christian asked the PCC XTAR. I love the XTAR EP9. I shot that a ton. Always have really enjoyed that design. Now, speaking of 45 and the XTAR, I believe there was a video that dropped 2 hours ago.
Maybe 2 hours ago.
Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about the XTAR EP? Is it called the EP45? Is that what it's called?
EP45, yeah. Considering I just dropped the video, no, I don't want to talk about it too much. I really don't. Go watch the freaking video.
But you're gonna have to go watch it after we get off. Not now. Not now.
Yeah, exactly. Just put it in the queue. It's fun. I'll say that. I'll give that much. It's fun. It's fun and it's capable. I'll say those.
Yep. Mandatory carry sub 2000. I've said this a lot. People will crap on KelTec, and I'm not saying that it's not justified a lot of the time, But I will say that KelTec, at least in the last 20, 25 years, has been incredibly important to the firearm industry, if for no other reason their designs. They're willing and able to push lines and boundaries that people were maybe afraid or didn't want to cross. And obviously maybe the KelTec's venture and attempt was not met well and wasn't maybe a great thing, but it forced the industry to look at things a little bit differently. KelTec has been very instrumental in pushing boundaries and pushing the industry to try different things and take an old KelTec design, make it better, and now it's, you know, what it is. The KelTec Sub 2000. Say what you will about KelTec, and there's a lot to be said about KelTec. I'm not defending KelTec. The Sub 2000 is a pretty important firearm, and for the most part, it's a very very good firearm. Clover, I know that you got some experience with it.
Oh, I'll crap on it a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have a first gen, like when they first came out.
Sure.
So the newer ones, you know, I've shot them. You can actually put an optic on them.
Yeah.
A lot of different things, right? And I probably could too if I got some aftermarket stuff and change the hand guards over and all of that.
There's aftermarket stuff out there for sure.
So here's what I will say about at least the Gen 1s, and I haven't spent any long enough time with the newer models, right, to know. But the sights suck on mine, man. They're so horrible. They're terrible. I mean, they're like airsoft quality at best. I mean, they're god awful.
Well, that's the problem with KelTec, and I think that's where they deserve a lot of the criticism they get. Is not in the design; it's just the materials that are used and all of that. The designs that KelTec has come out with are, like I said, they're extremely innovative, and a lot of your favorite firearms that a lot of people have out there these days were designed or built off of KelTec designs. You may not understand that. Not saying that KelTec's great. I'm just saying that as far as the innovation and design work, KelTec is and has been a pretty important part of our industry, because they have pushed some boundaries and lines that, you know, it's always tough to be the first one through the door. You know, being the point man is the hardest point in a fire team. Being that point guy, you're going to take all the brunt. And KelTec has worn that badge with pride. So as much as I will crap on them saying their stuff is not the greatest stuff made, I will always defend KelTec. I'm not a KelTec guy. I don't own a KelTec. I've shot a lot of the Sub 2000s and other things, but I'll always defend KelTec because they are still willing to be the first one through the door a lot of times. So yeah.
Well, it always has to start somewhere, and a lot of people lose sight of that. Like, you know, it's like, oh, that sucks. Well, then don't buy the very first original model or whatever.
Right.
Like, there's a certain amount of people that are they're into that, right? They want to get the newest thing, even though they may not like it, and they'll flip it later or whatever. There's going to be a certain amount of people that do that. But you know, give things time. I mean, you know, when something new, interesting comes out, give it a little bit of time. Don't crap on it, you know, like right away or anything. Because it's got to start somewhere.
It's got two things. One, I think we're witnessing history. Mandatory carry says Clover's right. Those sites do suck.
Dude, he agreed with me about
Clover have agreed on something, which is
twice that I know of already, because he agreed with me on Tonto earlier. So
this is true.
I don't know what's going on here. We're about to break the matrix or something.
Yeah, the internet's getting ready to get broken. I will say this: Graybeard is still bringing up the M14 and being a sniper. Homie, you might not be live. You might be about 20, 30 minutes behind. Make sure that button that says live at the bottom of your screen has a red dot.
Was that him on our podcast?
He's not going to hear this for another 30 minutes. He's not going to hear us for another 30 minutes to say that. So somebody out there tell Graybeard to please push the live button. Yeah. It is what it is.
Was he the one that was behind on our podcast Sunday?
I think he was.
I think so. So he must have slow internet. That may be what it is.
Could be. Gotta get those hamsters running, man.
Right. Can I break in with some breaking news?
No.
pistol brace has been held up by the Fifth Circuit. It's been turned down. Basically, it's on hold for time being.
So completely, or just by those who filed the suit?
I haven't earlier.
Is this the crack case, or was this the which case was this?
I don't know. All I know is that Fifth Circuit has held it.
You talk about hold. You're not saying that it's held. It's saying it's okay. You're saying they put a stay on it. Like
they put a stay on it.
Okay.
I haven't watched the video, but I
you say notification. You could understand that is they said that it's legal by saying they held up the ATF.
Go, Chris.
Yeah.
I've been following this all day. So now, unless it's changed in the last couple hours, this is only for certain people. So this is for the firearms.
That's what I heard.
Coalition and like two
others. Applicants. The applicants.
Yes, correct.
So now they did say that there was going to be more coming down the pike today. So John could be right. But if it's what happened this morning,
according to Armed Scholar, he just posted a video breaking ATF pistol brace rule immediately blocked and halted by Fifth Circuit.
Okay. So if it's Armed Scholar, then no offense, but it's clickbait. It's clickbait.
Is it clickbait? I haven't clicked it yet, but
that's the title. Do not go by the handline. They're going to put that as the title so that everybody freaks and whatever and watches it. But the stuff that it will echo what Chris said. Everything I've heard today, it only applies to the people named in the lawsuit right now.
That's why I asked if it was the FRAC lawsuit, because the FRAC's got 27 states involved, Arkansas being one of them, that have sued the ATF. And so that's what I was wanting to know. Is this the FRAC lawsuit? Because if it is, that's going to hold more weight because there's 27 states involved with that one. I think it's 27, maybe 26, but no, there's like Clover said, there's going to be, and everyone said, there's going to be a lot more. I mean, we're talking, we've got a week left, you know what I'm saying? So there's going to be a lot happening.
Yeah, just dive for everybody out there. Dive beyond the title and the headline, please, and read and listen, because don't get caught up in somebody trying to clickbait, because it's not good.
Two things. Remember, this is a process. No. You're good, John.
Fine, John, you may be right, John.
You may be right. Yeah. But that's a great segue into don't trust YouTubers. We're all just trying to get your views. We don't care about it. No, just kidding.
They did say today
there's some truth to that.
They did say today, though, that this opened a door.
Yeah,
that we were probably going to be seeing a lot more coming.
It's still very, very important. But I didn't want anyone to think that meant that everyone in the country can now have their pistol braces and not be, whatever.
So this plays perfectly into what you were just talking about with KelTec.
Yeah,
like the courts and stuff. We're waiting for somebody to do it first, I think. And then like once that domino falls, and it has. Then, and it may have already, other dominoes may have fallen at this point, but just do your diligence out
now,
there, folks. That's all I'm saying.
Remember this also is don't get discouraged if you see the Third Circuit or another circuit court come in and take the ATF side. That doesn't mean anything bad. That's actually probably a good thing, because if all the circuit courts go in locked arm and say this is not right, you can't do this, well, we obviously like that. But it's okay also to have dissenting opinions within the circuit courts. Why? Because that's going to give it a bigger chance to go to the Supreme Court if there are dissenting opinions among the circuit courts. And I know this sounds crazy. It is a gamble. It is a roll of the dice. But I think that we would all feel fairly comfortable in this going to the Supreme Court with the way the makeup of the court is right now, because if the Supreme Court comes out and says, you've set precedent, and it's going to open a door for a lot more other things to get shot down. So what I'm telling you is if one of the other circuit courts come out and takes the ATF side on this, don't just jump in and say the sky is falling, we're done. No. That actually could be a good thing, because that could push the case quicker to the Supreme Court. I'm not saying the Supreme Court won't hear cases that all the lower courts agree on, but typically they like having dissenting opinions at the circuit court level. So now they have two sides that they say, okay, we are split. Now we're going to have to make a ruling. So don't get discouraged out there in the next week if you start hearing other courts taking the ATS side. It may not be a bad thing, because this is going to put some pressure on the Supreme Court. And I think, like I said, I'm not guaranteeing it is still a gamble, but I think that all of us would probably, the way the makeup of the SCOTUS is right now, we'll take our chances with this makeup of SCOTUS to make that decision than in years past. What do you guys think? I don't want to get too political on the pistol brace stuff, but we are a week away. Chris, you've been keeping up with, you said, all day. Kind of where do you sit? Are you encouraged or discouraged by things that have happened today?
Yesterday, I was starting to get a little nervous because I'm like, man, we're a week out. Nobody's talking about it right now. And then today kind of gave me made it a little bit better when I seen that, even though that, and as far as I've been searching around, I think we're still where we were at this morning. It's only the people named in the lawsuit right now.
Correct.
But
it's still
I think probably tomorrow we're going to start seeing things coming our way now. So yeah, I'm feeling a little more encouraged about it right now than I was. I really, honestly, though, I thought this was going to get stomped down a month ago. I didn't think it was going to go right to the deadline.
I didn't either, honestly. I didn't either. I think what happened was, honestly, this is my opinion. This is just 100% my opinion. Talking with some, we'll call them legislators that are friends of mine about this. I think that the courts assumed that, especially after the midterm elections, that there would be congressional review. I think they just assumed that Congress was going to take care of this in congressional review. That said, I think congressional review would prefer it going to SCOTUS. Makes sense? Because if Congress acts on this and goes through congressional review and says, no, this is not legal, great. It's great. But what happens 2 years from now? They could overturn that or whatever at that point. If it goes through SCOTUS, it's going to be much more difficult to overturn a SCOTUS decision. Very rarely does SCOTUS go back on rulings that they've made, especially if the makeup's relatively the same. So I think that that's probably one of the reasons why. I think that, not saying SCOTUS, but I'm saying that the court system and altogether, I think we're probably sitting there thinking, well, this is going to get through congressional review. We don't have to really rule on this. But I think that the House was sitting there going, I think we'd rather let it go to SCOTUS because it's a stronger statement. Once again, it's a gamble. It's a gamble letting it go to SCOTUS because it could go the wrong way and it's bad. But I think that the way the makeup of SCOTUS is right now, I think most people are a little more willing to take that gamble. You never know. Never know. Clover and I were actually talking about this exact thing last night for a while on the phone. Very interesting. And we said the same thing. Both of us said the same last night. The next few days, the next week is going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting. So yes, make sure that you're keeping up with everything out there.
So let me ask a quick question to the panel. Do you think that what all those YouTubers did Friday when they signed that letter and sent it, do you think it had anything to do with what happened today? No? Okay.
I don't.
Okay. I don't. Yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I don't either.
I don't. It's going to sound bad. We're all part of this. YouTubers give themselves way too much credit. Let's just be honest. YouTubers think that they're much more important than they really are. That's the reality of it. I don't think that YouTubers are going to influence decisions in Congress or in a court system. Let's be honest. Most of the people that are sitting on the benches at courts are old enough. They probably don't watch YouTube. So how would the hell they know? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that's the case. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I think you're talking about judges that have, whichever way they fall politically, I don't care. But you're talking about judges that have dedicated their life to law. And you're gonna and we're gonna assume that YouTubers are gonna have influence over judges that have dedicated their entire lives to the letter of a law. I don't see it. That's just me.
That completely defeats the purpose of being a judge if you can be influenced and swayed like that. You know, as a justice, and I talk about this pretty regularly. As a justice, people like to, and especially with the court we've got now, SCOTUS anyway, people like to look at a justice and say, oh, they're liberal or oh, they're conservative. And no. Justices are typically constitutional or presidential.
Yep.
Not liberal or conservative. So once you start seeing justices in that mindset and framework, everything starts to make a little more sense. Just saying.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying that they didn't, Chris. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general, I try not to put too much weight into the way of the world with social media influencers.
That was the reason I brought it up, because Friday and Saturday there was a lot of back patting going on, you know, and I just thought I'd throw it out there and say, hey, let's just discuss it for a minute.
You know, the people that are going to pat themselves in the back, and some of them are friends. You know, let's just be honest. We know a lot of them. At least, I mean, people in this panel know a lot of those guys, and we consider them friends. But there's a lot of people that will pat themselves on the back, but they're also the same ones that think that their value in life is dependent upon how many subscribers they have on YouTube.
Yep. No, I agree.
That's what it's worth.
Well, there is value, right? So
not saying there's not.
Turn around and stick up for gun tubers, right? Like, there's value in that. Just talking about it, and like we are here tonight, just talking about it allows people that may not understand or know to at least it be on their radar, because that's a big problem right now with this pistol brace thing. Is how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people have no clue this is even going on because they're unplugged. They got their jobs, they got their families, they got soccer practice and whatever, and they don't know.
But they're not in the community.
Right.
You know. So
if we don't have, you know, gun tubers, if we don't have social media people and 2A whatever that are talking about it, and that's less of a chance that they see it, because nobody in mainstream news or anything, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CNN, is going to come out and go, hey, the pistol brace thing is going on, you know, be sure you're paying attention. They don't care. They don't care.
And I'm going to piggyback off of both of you, because I think you're both right. I think that, you know, we always don't have this pool that we think we do, but at the same time, Clover's right as well. And I hate saying that. It irks me in my soul. But the influence that they have, you guys have on people to draw them in. And like Chris said, these guys are patting themselves on the back. Well, you know, if those guys are signing it, how many more people are going to sign a petition or a thing? And like you said, Ghost, you may not have influence on the judge, but if tens of thousands of people who follow these guys are signing documents or petitions or whatever, that may have a smidgen of influence, if that makes sense. Not to go
it could potentially influence Congress, which would then
by voters
have a little bit of pull and influence with the justices. I think that's the way that it kind of would work itself up the chain. Maybe.
I don't disagree. I'm not saying that YouTubers and influencers are worthless. I'm not saying that, but I don't think the influencers signing a document on a Friday are going to have enough pull to have a circuit court judge make a ruling on Wednesday. I don't see that.
I've never seen, and especially not micro niched. And let's be fair. This right now with pistol braces is not even a firearm owner issue. It's a very small subset of a firearm owner issue.
Yeah.
Right. So with the amount of people that are not paying attention, you know, I question how much any type of petition or anything in this situation is even going to be worth, because you look at much more pressing issues, I think, as far as civil liberty and stuff that's gone on in the past, and petitions that have been made. I mean, look at the border, for example, right? Which could arguably be a worse scenario. That's depending on what you care about politically. We're not all one dimensional, right? And
I hope not.
Yeah, and petitions don't do anything in those cases. So, like, why would we think all of a sudden it's massively effective here? Now, it could be massive. It could appear that it's massively effective because the whole idea of what the ATF done was flawed from day one in the beginning, right? And so by doing this, the judge would have done that anyway, and so it has that optic. Now, that optic is good, right? Because it gives everybody that good feeling, like Chris said, to pat themselves on the back. And if they feel like they're making a difference and doing good, then maybe they will continue to try to make a difference and do good. And there's a positive in that somewhere, I think, too.
Well, I'm going to argue that I don't think it's a microcosm subset. I mean, we're talking anywhere between 60 to 100 million of these braces out there alone.
That doesn't equate to 60 to 100 million people, though.
Yeah,
you're not wrong. But
there's about a million and a half.
Close.
Yeah, about 1 million to 2 million. They're saying is what they're saying. Who knows?
Still
it's impossible. No, I get it, but you're talking about.
But if people have 5 of them,
million gun owners, right? 100 million gun owners and 1 million pistol brace owners. So 1% of gun owners, if you talk pure numbers.
Correct. No, you're absolutely right.
I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I might be completely wrong. By the way, our new website is grapecrayons.com. Check it out.
And you know what?
By the way, it's a real thing. We did buy grapecrayons.com. Go ahead. Sorry.
We got way off on this instead of PCCs, and the PCC was actually a makeup lab to begin with. So I'm just saying.
We got way off. We're still going to bring it back to PCC.
It's adjacent. It definitely is adjacent. Yeah,
it's adjacent because a lot of this is actually what was going to be one of the questions that I asked in the PCCs. So this is a great transition for the panel. All of us out there, and answer this out in the chat as well. When you hear the words PCCs, do you automatically go to like AR pistols chambered in 9mm or whatever, or do you think 16-inch barreled pistol caliber carbines? Because most people that I know think little AR-9 pistols,
shorties, yeah,
40s, if you will. Yes. What do you guys think?
I would say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saw Chris's bump up first. Sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm the exception to the rule because.
Well, you shoot them.
Yeah. So I think 16-inch barrel, but I do agree with you. Everybody else thinks.
I don't think that's the exception, Chris. I think you're in the majority. I honestly do.
You think so? Do you really?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Ginger.
When I think PCC, I more think of what would technically be termed as a PDW, which would be those short, and I guess that would, you would consider that a subset of the PCC. But like when I think PCC, I'm thinking like MP5.
I don't even see. I don't think MP5 when I think PCC. When I think MP5, I think subguns.
Well, there's another subset.
But here's the thing: pistol caliber carbine. So does it need to be carbine length? I mean, this is part of the question. Does it need to be that 16-inch carbine length? I don't think so.
Well, here's the thing. I
understand that.
You're projecting 16 inches onto the word carbine, and the word carbine just means a shorter version of the original.
I understand, but that's what I'm saying to you is, for me, when I hear PCC today, I think a PDW. I think my 5.5-inch AR-9. That's my truck gun. That's what I think of.
But here's the problem.
Here's
the problem. people have 8-inch ARs in 5.56.
Absolutely.
That they also say is a PCC.
5.5-inch 2.3 AR.
I've heard people say that. Oh, it's my PCC. It's 5.56. How's it a PCC?
Yep. That's right.
It's not a pistol caliber. So,
I think what really happened was when companies in the last 10 years, companies would come out with their PCC, being an AR9 or the Scorpion or whatever, and they'd come out with two versions of that PCC, one in 16-inch and one in a 10.5. So now they've kind of synonymously been combined together in this one big microcosm of PCC, where they may not be.
Absolutely.
Where you think more of the shorter PDW is really what it should be. And then you also thinking subguns. That's another subset of that all fall under PCC.
Absolutely. 100%. I think PCC encompasses all of those. But it's interesting when people hear PCC, it's funny to think where they go. If you would have asked me 5, 6, 7 years ago, when you hear PCC, I'm going with my Beretta CX4 Storm. That's where I'm going. Or I'm going MP5. Now it's my little shorty.
Well,
I mean, it is interesting how people evolve in thinking.
So the problem with calling a 9mm, an AR9, 9mm on the AR platform, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say with a pistol brace. The problem with calling that a PCC is it's got a pistol brace. It doesn't have a stock.
Yep. So
it's a pistol. It's not a PCC because it's not a carbine. It's a pistol caliber carbine, not a pistol caliber pistol.
It's an AR pistol in 9mm.
Right.
Yeah. No. It's terminology, and that's the funny thing about PCCs is they are so popular. And let's be honest, PCCs in general, a pistol caliber AR style, whether it's a rifle or a pistol configuration, an AR style chambered in 9 or in pistol calibers, are the thing. It's what everybody wants right now. But if you actually polled 100 people, it'd be really interesting to hear the answers of when they hear PCC, what it is. The answer is I don't know. I don't know. It's all of it. All of what we talked about as a PCC,
Here's a good example of this, where the name of the main thing has become this. When RMRs came out, everybody asked, I want a pistol with an RMR cut, right? Mm-hmm. But you might be going, well, I want a pistol with an RMR cut, but I'm going to put a Vortex on it. Well, that's a different cut, but everybody wanted RMR. RMR became synonymous.
It became the generic cut.
Same,
but it's not.
Right. Yeah. Same thing with PCC. PCC has become this generic umbrella.
Anything that's got a pistol caliber and here's the thing about it also. Most people think AR style or AK style. They don't realize that you don't have to be. There's a lot of things. Let me ask you this.
Lever rifles, for example.
I was going to say, would a lever rifle and 357 Magnum, is that considered a PCC? I think it would be.
100%.
But that's just me.
My argument against that is because when you think PCC is a semi-auto pistol caliber firearm. We'll say firearm to all encompass.
Says who?
But that's the generic thinking. It's just like RMR. Same thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When you think lever gun, that's what I think. The first thing that comes to mind is, 30-30, 45 Colt, and 357-38. When I say lever gun, I don't think 45-72. Sorry, but you don't think of when you say PCC.
Maybe that's because you're young and you haven't been into them long enough. Because I can guarantee you, when you tell me I've got a lever action rifle, my first thought goes to 30-30 or probably 45-70.
I would say I don't know about the 40. I don't know what I'd go to second.
Probably 30-30 first.
100%. My mind goes to 30-30 right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I think that most people 40 years and older probably would agree with when you hear lever action, 30-30's the first one you think of.
But it depends on, it depends on the times and stuff. You know what I mean? Like nobody would have ever even given really much, like back in even the 80s and certainly before then. Nobody gave much thought to 5.56, even talking about 5.56.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though it's virtually identical to 223. Everything
Well,
was
it was
like
that-
civilian world was all
military caliber,
like
you know.
ARs weren't as popular, right? They weren't as prevalent. And so like everything was 223 back then.
And there wasn't a flood of surplus ammo hitting the market either.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
it's got the same connotation as assault
armor
rifle.
piercing. So you also have idiots out there saying that green zips are armor piercing.
Yeah. But the whole assault rifle thing would be a very similar analogy, right? Like aesthetically, that looks like a PCC, even though it's a braced pistol, right?
Sure.
It looks like a PCC. So it looks similar, so let's call it a PCC. And it's the same thing as like, oh, well, that looks like a M16, so let's call it an assault rifle. Like, no.
Yep.
Technically, if you want to get down into the weeds on it, no.
Well, also think of this when you guys were growing up, and I'm sorry to say you guys were growing up, but when you saw let's say a Colt subgun, okay, that was an SBR or it was a subgun or it was something of that nature.
Could have been a pistol, yeah.
But pistols were they as popular? They weren't as popular. The last 10 years
back
we've
then,
seen
no.
this. No, but with the last 10 years,
no.
Yeah, but in the last 10 years, we've seen this.
Called subguns back in the day. Yeah. Even if they weren't subguns, they were probably called as a subgun because there wasn't a classification for PCC, you know.
But now you see, like, the popularity has grown, so that term has changed and moved.
Right.
And I mean, somebody brought up in the comments, tissue. Everybody refers to a tissue, no matter what a brand it is. It's a Kleenex.
Well, it's the same way when I grew up in Dallas. When I was growing up, everything was Coke. Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Mountain Dew. Hey, can I get a Coke? Yeah, what do you want?
But yeah.
Dr. Pepper, but everything back then is not a soda or pop or cola. It was, hey, can I get a large Coke? Yeah, what kind? Oh, I'll take a Mountain Dew. But everyone exactly. It's exactly what you're saying. Go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was just gonna say Velcro is now hook and loop.
Oh, yeah.
We had a whole class in the Marine Corps on that.
Well, a lot of that has to do with Velcro suing the crap out of people too.
Probably.
So Velcro has spent a lot of money on lawsuits. What I was going to say is, think about this: if you ask somebody what they drive, odds are if they drive a truck, they just give you the name, don't they? They go, "Oh, Ford," or "I drive a Chevy," and like they stop and like. That's usually like assume that.
Truck. Oh, what kind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll just say Ford or they'll say Chevy. They don't tell you it's usually they don't say it's a 1500 and this, that, and the other, and this engine. They usually don't go that deep. Yeah.
Gary says that PCCs have technically, we're not saying they haven't existed forever, but they weren't called PCCs,
Right.
Silverado.
PCC came around, the post assault weapon ban, probably.
It was absolutely after
fairly
2000.
new. It's been fairly new.
I would say in the last 10 years, honestly. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
At least being popular as a term of PCC. It might have been out before, but the popularity of the term PCC really in the last 10 years.
Probably. I mean, I've heard the term used many, many years ago. Pistol caliber carbine. I've heard that used many, many years ago, but taking that and converting that to PCC and then broadening that term into so many different subsections, like John was talking about, that's been a fairly recent thing.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Yeah.
And it's because of the prevalence of them. There's other than lever actions, you didn't really have a whole lot. I mean, you really didn't back in the, let's just say pre 94 AWB.
Yep. Interesting segue there. We're talking about when the term became popular in the last 10 years. And let's just say that PCCs have become incredibly popular in the last 10 years, right? Obviously, they were popular. They've been around for, but they become crazy. Like now, every manufacturer's in the PCC game, where 10, 15 years ago there was a handful, right? So, Marcus has a great question, and we'll get to that one. But I'll say this. I'm going to ask you guys this. This is for the panel and out there in the chat. Go ahead and let us know what you guys think as well. What was, in your opinions, the reason for the rise in the last, let's say, 10 years of the PCC craze? Is there something that happened? Why do you think all of a sudden that the PCC craze has happened?
Well, my thinking is this: you've got people coming out with the Glocks became popular. Then you had the 30-round mags, and you had that. But the other thing, truck guns, concealed carry, being able to carry a lot of ammo in what would be more accurate than the standard person could shoot a pistol is one of those reasons. But I think it really kind of took off because the truck gun phase, I would say the same thing about 10 years ago, where, you got the Sub 2000 came out, and you got the Storm, and you got these foldable backpacking kind of. Yeah. So I think that's really what kind of helped.
Yeah, I think cost of ammo, and then also related to that, being able to share ammo also lowers cost, overall cost.
I think for me, the biggest thing was the 9mm getting down to, it's sometimes 8-9 cents a round at one point, right? Very cheap to get. It was in abundance. And I think people were looking for a way to get more out of that. What can we do to get that 9mm cartridge to be just a little bit more than what it's on our Glock or whatever?
I hate to say it, but we got to give credit to High Point. High Point kind of just.
What was a huge one?
Yeah.
Oh, cheap option, right? Yeah.
You had
been around a long time. Yeah.
You had a gun that was under $300.
The first one I ever bought was $199.
Yeah,
you gotta freaking amazing. What it is, it's what it is, but it was amazing for what it is. It's amazing.
Can't remember if I bought mine or won mine at this point. I don't even remember.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about the 9mm. It is much people are going to crap on the 9mm. I don't agree with crapping on the 9mm, but I understand why people do. The 9mm changed the game in a lot of ways, and I think it was a big thing to do for PCC, because I'll say this: I would be willing to bet if you were to ask 1,000 random people, the vast majority of people would say, when you think of PCC, what caliber do you think? Would say 9mm. Now, we know that 10mm is great. 45, Clover's got a 45. There's some people out there. I know that G23 stupidly picked up a new 40 Smith & Wesson PCC. I'm just kidding.
Well, we're talking true PCC.
I was just saying, is 22 considered a PCC?
It's a pistol caliber, but no, I don't think so. I don't think if you get into rimfire,
right? So there's a whole argument. It's
rimfire though. I think you got to classify rimfire differently. But what I was going to say is, I'll throw a real wrench into the monkey works, because there's been a lot of talk about PCC and lever actions, and is it really, rah, rah, rah. I've got a Ruger 44 semi-auto.
Well, there's some new 9mm lever actions that are pretty badass too. Just saying.
Yeah, there are. They're pretty cool.
I'm just saying. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. It's just interesting. It's interesting to see, like you said, Clover, the last 10 years is really kind of where the craze is.
Yeah.
I know that you've picked up a couple PCCs in the last month or two. You've got the new Anderson 9mm, and you've got the XTAR 45. Now I know that you've been shooting pistol caliber rifles or whatever for a long time, but I think that the Anderson AM9 was your first kind of jump into the 9mm AR PCC game.
Absolutely was. Yeah, absolutely was. And I love that thing, man. It's freaking awesome. Yeah. I mean, I've shot a bunch. Obviously, I've shot a ton of different ones, but as far as extended time with one, like out shooting the buddies or at range day or one at the gun shop or something like that. This Anderson is my first with any kind of extended time, and holy man, it's freaking cheap to shoot. I mean, not as cheap as it could be, not as cheap as it was back in my day, but dude, it's like
years ago, but it's still pretty cheap now.
God, it's like fun. There's no recoil to it. It's so freaking awesome.
Yeah. I know Chris shoots PCC and USPSA. And the funny thing is, when I was shooting IDPA and USPSA, I remember this is probably about 7-8 years ago. Every now and then, I'm saying like maybe 2 or 3 matches a year, and they were mostly down in Texas or in Oklahoma. They would have a little stage set up after the match was over that you could do a quick stage if you want to bring your AR-9s or whatever. It was just to kind of test it. I remember those days where it was like people were shunned if they brought their PCCs to a match to shoot the aftermatch little stage. That said, Chris, I want to bring you in. I would say that let's say there were 250 shooters in a match. There might have been 5 that showed up to that stage after to do it. Now, I mean, how many people are shooting PCCs now in USPSA that when you go to a match, is it still overwhelmingly pistol, or is PCCs gotten pretty big in it?
No, I mean, if you took like the match that I'm going to shoot Saturday, I think there's 60 people signed up, maybe 6 PCC shooters.
So 10%.
Yeah, it's not, but it's funny when you sit and talk with guys, they're like, well, I'd really like to do that. Like, I'd like to shoot PCC, but it still gets shunned. But you're starting to see a lot more. I think it's going to be it's still going to grow, but it's not quite there yet. But yeah, I don't know. It's not as popular in the USPSA as people think, but you're starting to see, like with Shield Manufacturing now making these roller delayed systems that go in the buffer tube and things like that. Now I got to shoot one of the Da Vinci's a few weeks ago, and it's like a 22. I mean, there's not that 9mm doesn't have a lot of recoil regardless, but now now with the roller delayed systems that they're putting in the buffer tubes now, you're taking it even to another level now where now it's like shooting a 10-22 out of an AR-9. It's so yeah. I
remember seeing a lot of 22s. Oh, this is probably 4 years ago. I was doing some steel challenge matches, and there's a lot of people shooting 22s, ARs, but Champion 22 LR in steel challenge. At least that's around here. I don't know if that's a thing or not. Kyle, I want to bring you in real quick and put your Anderson hat on for a second. There you go. Literally and figuratively, obviously. When Anderson decided to put out the 9mm PCCs, what was the process of? Were you almost forced to? Was the company almost forced to do that because everyone else was in the PCC game, or how did that decision come about?
No, not really forced. It was just kind of a part of our way to diversify our
natural evolution.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. John, being in the ammo game for the last several years, I know there is absolutely no way, but I want to just kind of get your opinion on this. Has the PCCs, and let's just take 9mm. I'm just using it as an example. Has a PCC and 9mm, do you think that has brought more people into shooting more because they may have more fun, or it's more accurate, more easy to control using an AR platform versus a handgun and 9. Do you think that has a lot to do with ammo sales, or do you think that's bringing PCCs that brought people to firearms, or what do you think about that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you're looking at a generation right now, and we'll say the 21 to 20 or 18 to 26.
Yeah.
That generation that grew up playing a lot of video games, and a lot of those guns have become available, and a lot of them, specifically the sub and PCCs, and specifically with the 9mm, the amount, and this is kind of what also a few years back with the ammo shortage thing. There are so many guns in 9mm, and especially with the ability to take Glock mags, you've got these, like when we do bundles between ammo and Glock mags, it's the same kind of thing where people are buying it because they've got a PCC, and Clover brought it up, the ability to share ammo, but now we have the ability to share mags, which wasn't really a thing for a lot of years. And then to kind of piggyback off of Kyle, when I was at Faxon, we had to get a PCC in the game. I mean, we had all the parts, but there were some growing pains when it came to that, because we put in an AR trigger into a PCC, and the dang thing went full auto because they don't drop-in triggers aren't rated for PCCs.
The AR triggers are
AR drop-in trigger.
Well, a lot of Hyperfire and CMC and Geisley, they have now almost probably forcibly been to come out with PCC triggers. We're talking also kind of in that same line is AR pistols, PCCs versus full length. We're talking buffer springs, buffer tubes. You can't throw an AR buffer and buffer spring in an AR pistol. It's going to jack things up. You can't put an AR pistol spring into an AR. They're different, a lot of these aftermarket parts and assembly parts are now having to be redesigned or designed from scratch, because this was something, hey, you just can't go and put a 9mm barrel in your AR and it's just going to work. A whole new market. Anderson lowers. How many, and I don't know if there's any way to track it. I'm sure that you guys can, but like, how many 9mm AR lowers do y'all sell a year? Do you have any idea?
That's a tough one, Ghost. Believe me, the ATF probably has a pretty solid record on that. But
I'm in your sales, but I mean, it's probably massive.
Yeah,
massive. How many AR Glock lowers Anderson sells throughout the year? I think it'd blow our minds. I bet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You're probably right.
It's crazy. PCCs. What reason why I went with that question, John, is I think that PCCs, and I think you hit on a lot of it. Video games. I think Call of Duty and all of these games where they're starting to see little shorties and all that, and they're in the Call of Duty game designing their guns. I can get this in 16, or I can get this in a 6-inch barrel or 5-inch barrel, and they're designing their guns, and then they want to have that gun in real life. I think video games have put a lot of it on there. That said, I think that the PCC has created a whole new subsection of our community. I think that PCCs have brought new gun owners to the game because I think there are people that see an AR, whether it's on video games or whatever, and say, that's pretty cool looking. But now they can find out they can get a little shorty in 9mm. It's cheaper. It's not going to have as much recoil. They might be a little scared of the 223 because they don't know. You get something with a 16-inch barrel versus something that's small. And they think, oh, that looks easier to shoot. Probably not going to be as strong. I think PCCs have brought a lot of people to the gun community, let's be in the last 5-6 years. That's just me. I don't know. Do you think that has brought people to the community? Like brand new, like how many people do you think are their first guns is a PCC now? I think the number has grown a lot in the last several years.
Well, you look at it, not only that has brought it in, but like the innovation to run said clock mags and this. Sure. And I mean, you're looking at companies that are doing roller delay now. I mean, when we were at Faxon, we had to redesign our 9mm bolt carrier group to be, you got to do buffer. You brought up buffers, and then you got weighted carriers, and you've got this, and you've got that, and you've got, now you've got guns out there that'll run like Matador. My good friends over there, they've got an upper that will run literally any PCC mag that's on the market. So it's weird that, and yes, I do think, to come back to the question, is yes, I do think that it's brought a lot more people in because it's a lot less, like you said, it's a lot less scary. You go to an indoor range and you're next to the guy with the AR. You don't want to be next to the guy with the AR in 5.56. But the guy with the 9mm, you hand them the 9mm and they're like, well, this is scary because it looks like that one. And then you have a shooter. It's like, oh, this is nothing.
Yep, absolutely. Go ahead, Kyle. Oh, I thought you were getting ready to push your microphone. Sorry.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Question out there. Can you put Beretta parts in a Gerson regard, though?
Some.
Clay has a regard.
Some, yes. Some.
I would say that, I would say some. I don't know. I don't have a regard.
Yeah, it depends on what you're.
I would imagine that you could probably put some.
Yeah, grips, no. Barrel, no.
Yeah, and the grip is interesting because I know that you said it's like a,
Yeah, technically you can if you're a little bit handy and crafty. Technically you could with grips, but they don't just drop right on.
Yeah.
But yeah, grip mags you're fine. As far as I know, like safeties, mag releases, a lot of your internals like that.
Springs, maybe.
Yeah, minor fitting at worst.
Yeah.
But you got to realize that the Beretta 92, much like a 1911, is not a Glock. Like, you don't just grab random parts and throw them all together and they fit. Like, that's like a
Glock. I don't know the number. There's like the 17 parts of a Glock, or I don't know what it is. I don't know. Yeah. There's a specific number that every Glock has the same amount of number of parts, and you had to learn that when you go to a Glock armorer's course. And I haven't been to that.
But like a Glock, you can take apart 20 Glocks, all the same handgun, of course. Take apart 20, break them down completely, put it all in a box, shake it up, put 20 back together, and they all run and they all work, and you don't have a problem putting them together. 92s aren't that way, so it's the nature of the design more than it is a issue with Gerson or Beretta.
Yep. Marcus says that he used to bring new shooters out for the first time. He used to bring 22 LR to start. Now he brings them 9mm PCCs. Yeah. I think that now this is something that I've noticed. I was at the range last week, and there was a guy and his son and grandson, probably like 15 or 16, and had 2 or 3 friends with him. So there's like 5 or 6 of them all together. All like the teenagers. He had all sorts of. He brought a bunch of stuff. The first thing every single one was, "Hey, let's shoot the AR. Let's shoot the AR. Let's shoot the AR. It looks cool." So yeah, once again, when you say PCC, I think that the average person thinks an AR style rifle or pistol chambered in 9mm or a pistol caliber. The AR style looks cool, so I think that is something that is going to bring people into it. For sure.
My nephews were more drawn to the cowboy stuff. So
you're in East Texas, though. That's
understandable.
No, geographics matter.
Yeah,
for sure. I think you go up north, and a person that's never shot a gun is going to love looking at ARs because they might have ever seen one in person. In the South, everyone's got an AR at this point. That's just the way it goes. You have something to say, Clove? I saw your microphone.
Well, it's going to depend on whether you're talking rural or metropolitan or whatever. Can make a difference too.
This is true too. Yeah, absolutely. But I think it's valid that I don't know if it was maybe John was talking about the rise of the truck gun. forever the truck gun or the vehicle gun was whatever handgun that you were probably carrying, or a handgun, or a revolver at one point was probably your vehicle gun.
Lever action if you were allowed to carry that in your state.
In high school where I lived in Plano, every kid that had a pickup either had a lever action and or a shotgun in the back window of their pickup, and no one ever touched them, because everyone had them. Today, I'd be willing to bet the same kids would probably carry ARs in the back of their truck. Just one of those things. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about
if it was safe to do that without getting windows bashed in nowadays. Yeah,
I'm just saying. Yeah. No one thought about it. No one even thought twice. I mean, there was no problem. We had 3,000 kids in our school, and I'd be willing to bet that there was 500 cars at any given time in that parking lot that had firearms with their doors unlocked and windows are probably down, and never had to worry about anything getting stolen because everyone had a shotgun or whatever, or a lever action in the back of their pickup.
I never carried a handgun in the vehicle unless I was, going over a buddy's house, or something going fishing on some property, or I was doing something like that. Talking about high school, right? Like underage and driving.
Yeah.
And then it was always in a case, or it was something like that, and it was like away from it, not like it was in the passenger seat or anything. So I was very mindful of that, because within arm's reach, law enforcement can get a little iffy with minors around here anyway. They tend to not get too iffy.
You almost have to, don't
that,
you?
But they would get a little iffy with that.
Yeah, they may not want to get that way, but
I tell this story. My youngest daughter. So whenever she was able to drive, oh man, it was a godsend. And we talked about that privately, I think, one time. But with all the running and everything, with 4-H and everything else, so quite often she would have like all of the 4-H guns in her car. And of course, they were in cases, and the ammo and range gear.
Arms in her car at 16.
We're talking like 20 guns total sometimes. Yeah. And all in cases, but the ammo was there, the range gear was there, all in the trunk. And she did get pulled over one time, and they asked, any weapons in the vehicle, and she's like, of course, she had her shirt on, the club shirt and everything else, and once they handed her the ID, it was the county, and they pretty much knew of the program and knew of me and her and everything else anyway. But they didn't even pop the trunk, like. It's like, just, I forgot what it was. It was a tail light or something, brake light, something stupid. And, we'll get, get your dad, fixed, get your dad to get this fixed, and be careful. Bye. That simple, but, in what other state, in what other place could could a minor run around with 20 guns and
where I live,
1,000 rounds of ammo, and like, nope.
Where I live in rural southern states, probably get away with a lot of places. Right. We're at an hour 45. I got one more question that I wanted to ask for this before we start closing the doors, and this is a fun one. Only because I think that this is where a lot of the PCC craze, and for this, I'm going to give a little context. PCC for this particular part of the discussion would be AR style. It doesn't matter what caliber, AR style PCCs, whether they're pistols or rifle length, it makes no difference. But how much of, because we were talking earlier about lever action that use pistol calibers and all of that, but how much of having the AR style being so modular with being able to add red dots, how much of that do you think played a part in the craze of the PCC, where now I can shoot the 9mm cartridge that I like in this cool looking gun with the red dot on it? Now we're talking about being pretty accurate, truck guns and all that. The modularity of the AR, did that have, and this is for anyone on the panel, did the modularity in the how do I put this, the popularity, if you will, of the AR platform, was that a big reason for maybe the rise of the PCC?
It had to. Right?
I agree, Clover. I think all the way.
I think that I think the barrel length, because you're aided in accuracy with that, and then the platform, you're talking about a more two-handed, a more stable grip and presentation and form, and then accessories like you're talking about, and I'll point to my last video drop with the Sterling ammo from Global Ordnance, right? I used two handguns, a striker fire, a hammer fire handgun, and the Anderson AM9. And as far as group sizes at 25 yards with that ammo, hands down, bar none, absolutely whooped. The carbine whooped on those pistols. Like, it wasn't even close. And it should be. It should be.
Yeah. You've got the longer barrel.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's what it's there for,
So, it's definitely a more accurate platform for many, many, many reasons.
Yeah.
And milder recoil, and if you have issues with your hands and holding things and whatever,
absolutely.
And to add to that lighter recoil, like you were saying, the modularity, you could break it down, put it in a backpack. It's nothing to slap together, or folding stocks are a big thing.
Absolutely. Crap! It just left me. I had a life-changing question.
That probably would have won a Pulitzer Prize had you said it.
It would have, for sure. It would have changed the lives of 18 people out there.
At least
18 people out there. But it's gone.
I blame John.
Oh, that's fine. You can blame me. But I do want to bring up, somebody mentioned a comment. Being the only one in this room who's probably fired the POF lever gun, I enjoyed it a lot. That 9mm lever gun. Have you shot it, Clover?
Oh yeah,
dude, I love it. I don't know.
You were trashing it at one time because of the throw.
The throw, it was a hard throw, but they've made some changes to it. Somebody did bring up that they had some issues with theirs.
Yeah.
Is it worth
getting used to?
Is it worth the money? I don't know. I honestly don't think I would spend that much on it, but I do love it.
Here's the thing: as far as design, as far as what it is, and capacity wise, in some states you don't have an option.
This is true.
You feel what I'm saying? If you want to go that route, you're going to have to spend the money on it. Or you're going to have to run for office or something and get the stupid laws changed, right?
I promise you, it's cheaper to buy the POF than it is to run for office.
To run for dog catcher. What are you talking about? Like, municipal dog catcher would cost more than that.
Yeah.
I think the sheriff here is, not quite, but pushing six figures to run for sheriff here. It's crazy.
Oh, in our county, there's no doubt about it. Yeah. Those signs are what, 25, let's say 25, $30 a piece. They're spending a shit ton on signs. They're spending a ton on stickers. They're spending a ton on, I would say that 100,000 for a sheriff's race. Because our county is very similar here, Clover. I think our counties are probably similar in size. I think that's absolutely positive.
Billboards and crappy billboards in crappy parts of the county here. And we're talking about a very low populated. Our biggest city is, 16,000 people. So not a whole lot of going on, right? And the crappiest billboards are started like $400 a month.
Yeah.
The crappiest. And that's one side. That's not both sides.
Tiger Woods out there says Ghost was going to solve 2A. Now we'll never know. Exactly. I promise you, it's profound. Whatever it was going to change the world, man. And it's gone. And it might not ever come back.
Well, I would say that Anderson should make a lever gun in 9mm. And we should come up with a name for that because I used my good name on the shotgun. So
not before the poverty pony for sure, though. We got to have the double hammer, double barrel, screw in chokes, coach gun.
That's the Pony Express.
Oh, the Pony Express. Yeah. You're right. That's the Pony Express.
Yeah. Pony Express, and then you got
John. We'll do it. The horseback hero.
I was gonna say something like mule kick or something with the lever, but
it's a pony. You don't want to do that. But something about cavalry, maybe use cavalry in there somehow.
There you go.
The Anderson The Anderson Schofield Cavalry Carbine.
Oh my God, that's not complicated.
That's the worst game of anything ever.
He goes from best to worst.
We'll call it Ask.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. The Pony Express is one of the greatest ideas I've ever heard ever.
I wasted my good idea.
Word and acronym. I mean, come on, man, you're killing me.
Just ask.
Ask. Sounds like someone's got stuttering problems.
Just ask.
See, it sounds like a horse galloping right there.
Oh,
call it the Gallop.
Yeah, that's bad.
Anderson Gallop.
Oh. The Prancer.
The Prancer. That would be the Christmas edition. The Christmas edition Cerakote could be the Prancer.
The Prancer.
That's good stuff.
Put out all the reindeers.
Mark wants to know some Brokeback questions. He says, "Does Phoenix have horseback riding?" I think Johnson horseback riding.
No, not that I know. Probably. I don't know. I know that there's wild horses out there. You are more than welcome to try to ride them, but they might not like that much.
I went through the desert on a horse with no name.
I don't like wild horses. They keep dragging me away.
They keep dragging me away. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kyle, if you do the Prancer for December, for January, you should do a picture of Clover crip walking and call it the Dancer.
We're gonna have to find a place to crip walk. I guarantee you, on the show floor, 3-inch thick carpet, you can't do it. Good, that was horrible.
Yeah. All right. We got 5 minutes. We got 4 minutes left. That's enough to get everyone's plug in. Kyle, like I said, you guys are doing some awesome things at Anderson. There's some exciting things coming down the line. You got the Cerakote of the Month project. You've got the Kiger 9 that's out there. You've got the bolt action is coming. The PCCs are out. The 308s are out. You've got some things coming out relatively soon. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff going on at Anderson. Got to be an exciting time to work there because all the ideas and everything's going around. I'm gonna give you a few minutes. You got the floor. Kind of tell people about Anderson and where they can find you out on social media.
Yeah, I'll start with that. You can find everything that we talked about tonight, AndersonManufacturing.com. Like you said, we got some big things in the pipeline. Out further, you got the bolt action, the Cerbot. And then up on the horizon, we got the Dissipator, the AM15 Dissipator. And that's coming soon, very beginning of June sometime. We don't have a date nailed down, but they're ready for production.
Let me know when that date happens because, man, there's a lot of people that are probably going to want that.
Yeah, you'll be one of the first. And then on the near horizon, we have Memorial Day coming up. Right now, we're doing a special engraved Memorial Day lower.
Saw that. That's with the you're giving what 20% or you're giving a percentage away to the Veterans Club. Is that right?
Yep, Veterans Club Inc. gets 20% of all profits made off that lower. So if you guys do get a chance, go visit AndersonManufacturing.com. Just pick one up. You can always have a lower in the safe for a rainy day. It's always fun to build or get started on your first build. Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah. You guys are all over social media. Just Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Just search Anderson Manufacturing and you're going to find them. Yes. Absolutely. And you might, if you go to their YouTube page and watch some videos, you might see that pretty face in some videos. So,
hey, and on our YouTube, you get a sneak peek at next month's Cerakote of the Month. So,
yeah. That project, I guess, is doing really well for you guys. Are you happy with the results of the Cerakote of the Month?
Yeah, I mean, it's a popular trend right now that people still love the black rifle, don't get me wrong, but
sure.
If they're anything like you and me, Ghost, we're going to be a little different. So it gives you that little extra touch of
stuff forever. And that's just it's what it is. I do have to figure out something. What? What do you say, John?
I'm pointing for Rob because he asked if I got my patches. I'm pointing at the wall for him.
Oh, he got your patches. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Rod sent you some patches. Is it the Bob patches, the Aegis patch? It's a pretty sweet patch, isn't it?
Yeah, they're right here.
Yeah, like we can see
You
that.
can't see shit.
Yeah. Marcus wants to know what calibers are the Anderson bolt action going to be available in?
Initial launch, we're going to go 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor.
There you go. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming on, bro. As always, love having you on. Yeah, have you guys noticed? He actually stepped up and actually talked a little bit tonight. We've been trying to get Kyle out of his shell for months now. So it's nice. I want you guys to give some next week. I need for y'all to give Kyle some encouragement to talk a little bit more. Kyle's funny as hell. He just doesn't talk a whole lot. We need to.
He'll talk your head off in private, but yeah.
I understand that, but I'm talking about on the show. We need him. We need he needs some encouragement. He has low self-esteem.
Yeah,
I couldn't even say that without laughing. Things are going on, brother.
Thank you,
Christopher Columbus. What's going on with you? Are you off? So you still kind of taking some time?
Yeah, I got a little off my game today with everything going on. So I really don't know right now if we're still having the Wednesday night live chat tomorrow night. We might take a week off. Reschedule it. I'm still waiting to hear back from the guests we had scheduled for tomorrow night. So it's kind of up in the air right now, but thanks for the invite. And
we actually got the PCC talking a little bit.
We did. It was great. So no, I had a lot of fun tonight. Side chat was great. And, always appreciate you offering to have me come on.
You're on the list, bro. You're welcome any single time, and I love having you guys on. I don't put people on the automatic list unless I enjoy being around you. So you're a good person. I appreciate you. I appreciate how, more than anything else, I respect and appreciate how hard you work. I've seen you work in person at these shows, and I respect that and appreciate that the dedication. And Clover had talked about this morning with G. They were talking a little bit about burnout, and Clover made a great point, and he said you need to at least recognize burnout before burnout happens. Burnout is a thing. When you work hard and you try to do the best that you can, burnout is a real thing. So I got burned out in the beginning of the year. If you guys don't remember, I took about a month and a half off after SHOT because I knew that I was going to get burned out, especially knowing what was getting ready to happen after SHOT. I had to get my mind ready for all the craziness and all that. But burnout is a real thing. So don't ever feel bad about taking some time off if you've got to take time off for you, Mike says that's an insult. I thought we were cool. I insult people all the time. I have no idea what I said to insult you, but it sounds about right. I'll take that. I have no idea. I don't apologize for insulting people, especially when I don't know what I said to insult them, because here's the thing. No matter what we say, we're going to insult somebody. So if you spend your whole life apologize for insulting someone, that's going to turn into your life. So last question. That's good. I was going to ask this one, Marcus, Foxtrot Mike or Angstadt. My personal favorite is Foxtrot Mike. That's my truck gun. I've got a Foxtrot FM9 5-inch, 5.5, whatever it is. Freaking love it. I am a converted Foxtrot Mike fan. I really do enjoy what they're doing over there. So, any of you guys have any preference?
Anderson AM9,
Alpha Mike.
Well, okay, so that wasn't the question, but I'll accept those answers. I'll accept those answers.
Out of those two,
yeah,
I would probably say Foxtrot Mike as well, but AM9.
I understand. I understand. So yeah.
Look into it. You're welcome.
Yeah. Ginger Bastard.
What's up?
It's coming up close on the event, is it not?
It's over.
Oh, is it this? I thought it was
last weekend.
For some reason, I thought it was Memorial Day weekend. I don't know why I thought that.
No, it was last weekend. It went real well.
How did it go? Was it good?
From what everybody has told me, it went really well. They raised a lot of money. I haven't gotten the final quote on how much they raised, but like I said, there's going to be another event coming up in June or July. I have to get the actual dates, but as soon as I get it, I will start pimping that.
Sure.
I'm going to start a new marketing campaign, though. It's going to be called hashtag Pony Express 2024. That's going to be my new marketing campaign. We're going to start a grassroots marketing thing because he didn't announce the launch date of that yet. So Pony Express, Anderson Pony Express 2024. Make sure you tag and hashtag Anderson every day for the next 6 months. Specifically, tag Kyle, and we will make this happen. We will make the double barrel shotgun great again with the Anderson Pony Express. Thank you.
We also need to get all the YouTubers to sign a petition. Just saying.
It's a movement, baby.
Now, John, do you approve this message before we start putting the hashtag? Do you approve this message?
This is John, the soulless ginger bastard, and I approve this message.
Fantastic. Hashtag Pony Express 2024. That's it.
Every post on Instagram from here on out has to have that hashtag.
You have to email.
If it's about Madonna or baseball, hashtag Pony Express 2024. You're like, what the hell?
Make sure to email Kyle at kyle@ponyexpress.com. That may not be a real email address. So
Express might be something you don't want to know what that website is. I'm just saying. I don't know. But that sounds like a website that could be interesting.
That's my OnlyFans.
There it is. Clove.
Did he say it's Pony fans? Is that what he said?
Is Pony fans? Yeah.
Okay.
Ponyfans.com. Oh, y'all need to go. If you don't, I'm going to buy it and then I'll sell it to you. But ponyfans.com needs to be some sort of social media thing for your Anderson fans.
Oh,
seriously. Yeah. Ponyfans.com. That needs to happen. I might go buy that and sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for about $5,000 if you want.
Or you could actually go Pony fans too. That work.
I might mess around with that graphic tonight.
It'll be OnlyFans with a P, and that would be OnlyFans with a P.
We're going to start seeing some weird ass shit coming from Kyle's Instagram tomorrow with ponyfans.com.
Ponyfans / hashtag Pony Express 2024.
Seriously, start using hashtag Pony Express 2024. I'm going to start following that hashtag, and that could be there could be some beautiful things with using that hashtag. I'm going to start following that hashtag.
We're going to make this
everything. That's going to go as part of my boilerplate. Hashtag Pony Express 2024 and everything that I do from now on.
I'm going to start a grassroots movement on top of this. Every post on Anderson's page, hashtag Pony Express 2024. Every post. If you don't do it, you're soulless like me.
Yeah.
Yes. And go flood Anderson's Facebook page begging for the Pony Express. No, Rod, it's hashtag Pony Express 2024. Hashtag Pony Express 2024. And we're going to get this going. We're going to get this going, Kyle.
Or pound sign Pony Express.
You might get fired because of this, but we're going to have fun with it.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is going to be fun.
He's going to call me Monday and just be like, what the hell?
It's happening. I can't escape it.
I've got he'll be asking me what the hell is a Pony Express. Well, let me tell you. Yeah. All right, Clove. You got anything going on? Now that you got the podcast is over until this fall, what else are you gonna be doing?
I know, right? Well, since we talked PCCs, the X-Star EP45 did drop earlier today. So now that we're closing this one out, jump over there, check that out, because I didn't really talk about it that much. And that's too early. It's fun, I think is what I said. It's too early to, really say a whole lot about it. However, Friday, video dropped with the Anderson AM9, and I have got enough time on it to say it's freaking awesome. So check out that video too. And then other than that, we've got the Ghost and Clover that went down Sunday night, which was, you even remember what it was? I don't even remember. Favorite 80s favorite movie of all time.
Movie and bipod, monopod, and tripod.
And then we made fun of mandatory carry, basically.
We made fun of mandatory carry. That was the viewer pick topic was make fun for 10 minutes of mandatory carry. So we did.
Yep. So check that out. Area of the week, I suppose. And that's all I got.
All right, I'm going to type it out there for you guys. Some of you must be hard. Coast Guard guys, I get it. You're not very smart. You're dumber than us. So hashtag Pony Express 2024. There you go. Hashtag Kyle sent us. That'd be a great one to post on every Anderson. Kyle sent us. Hashtag Kyle sent us. Kyle Ponley fans.
All
right. Fuck it. For me, I got nothing. We got a lot of stuff coming down. Be on the lookout in the next couple weeks. Some really exciting stuff going to be coming down the line. I will say this weekend is Memorial Day. And yes, I know you guys are used to it, but I give the same damn speech every year, and it's important to me to give a speech. Memorial Day is not a day to go thank veterans for their service. Please don't do that. We have our own day. Memorial Day is to remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our way of life in America. I want you to go out there. I want you to go to the lake. I want you to cook out. I want you to have fun with your family and friends. I want you to go out and do something, and because that's what our heroes died for, is to give you the right to do that. All I ask is, while you're doing those things and you're having a Diet Coke or whatever your beverage of choice is, throw a little cheers up there to everyone that did sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our way of life. This is not a veterans thing. This is something that we're standing on the blood of heroes. And this is a day and a weekend to remember that. Have fun. They don't want you to be sad because it's Memorial Day. Have fun. Enjoy everything in your life. Just remember why we have it. So thank you so much for watching. So much for listening to this in podcast form. Once again, utilize the comment section below if you're watching a replay or listening to podcast. Thank you to the chat out there. It's wonderful side chat out there. Thank you so much for watching. Guys, have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you next week. Semper Fi.